Nvidia, one of my favorite semiconductor companies, had a very interesting day today. Right now, for those not familiar, a GTC event conference is happening for Nvidia, and this is about a 2 to 3 day event where they talk a lot about the artificial intelligence market, the metaverse market, and how Nvidia is kind of providing solutions in this space. More importantly, today there was a GTC keynote, which was about an hour and a half long, where the company goes a little bit more inside of what they are providing. Today, what I really want to do is take a closer look at their clouding solutions, especially with the partnerships with big players like Microsoft, like Amazon, like Google, like Oracle Cloud. So let me know in the comments below before we go any further. What should I do next? Should I do generative AI? Should I do metaverse? Should I do autonomous driving and robotics? Just let me know on the comments below, and let's get started. So we can see Nvidia's stock price right now is sitting at $263.36, up 1.6%. There was also a Q&A session happening that I'll listen to later on and probably provide some feedback on that. But we can see it does seem like investors are happy. I want to take a closer look at competitors. AMD, similar boat. It seems like around noon, the market was tanking to some extent and some crazy U-turn happened. Nvidia's U-turn looks a little bit more, a lot stronger. So investors seem to be excited about this AI push. And again, today's episode, I want to take a closer look at their clouding solutions. And I have 6 tabs open here on the different kind of products that they announced for the clouding market. So first, the one I want to start off with is Nvidia expands their Omniverse cloud to power industrial digitalization. And this new platform is going to be a platform as a service. It's coming to Microsoft Azure. And I want to say Microsoft is one of those few cloud giants right now that's really, really impressing me. Actually, two. I want to say Google and Microsoft are becoming two of my best or favorite plays in the cloud server providers at the moment. I'm not sure why I'm feeling a little bit let down from Amazon, but maybe it's because it's not in my portfolio and I don't follow it too much. But with the new solutions from Microsoft and from Google, things are looking pretty interesting. So for those that are not familiar, NVIDIA Omniverse Cloud is going to be a platform as a service that enables companies to unify digitalization across their core products and business process, and is now available to selected enterprise. And NVIDIA has selected Microsoft Azure as the first cloud service provider for Omniverse Cloud. And this is something that NVIDIA, in my opinion, is doing so well. They've kind of create these solutions, they create these softwares, they create this infrastructure, and they make a market from there. And then from there, they start to offer it and take advantage of the cloud and bring it to even more customers. And that's what we're seeing here. So during this kind of press release, NVIDIA breaks down a little bit more of this Omniverse and how, for example, the automotive teams are using it from design to engineering to smart factory to marketing to digitalize their workflows, whether connecting 3D design tools to accelerate vehicle development, building digital twins of automotive factories. We hear a lot of BMW doing it, or running closed loop simulations to test vehicle performance. I do believe Jaguar is also doing that as well. So there's a lot of great solutions and kind of bringing it to the cloud. The great thing about this is it does create kind of a flywheel, right? NVIDIA does have other software solutions. So while Omniverse Cloud allows them to connect with the products that customer use, they are also able to connect to other NVIDIA ecosystem products. For example, they have NVIDIA's Drive Simulation, which is, again, simulation for the autonomous vehicles. They have Isaac Simulation, which is to train and simulate robotics. So here you go, and hey, I'm gonna use Omniverse Cloud. I'm gonna pay my subscription for that, and then I'm like, hey, okay, I'm a business that wants to develop more autonomous driving or want to develop more in the robotics. Now let me pay for usage of Isaac Sim or Drive Sim. So we can see how this kind of creates a wheel where it's more and more money going into NVIDIA. Like I mentioned, right, some of the early Omniverse enterprises. Our customers are BMW Group, Geely Lotus, Jaguar, Land Rover. And again, this is just the enterprise solution. Now that they're bringing it to the cloud, it's going to open up to a lot more enterprises. They do mention that Omniverse Cloud is powered by, you guessed it, NVIDIA's hardware, and that is their NVIDIA OVX computing system. Let's take a closer look for that, but they will be available starting with Microsoft Azure, like I mentioned, in the second half of the year. So not only is NVIDIA doing one, they created this ecosystem with the Omniverse. Now from there, they're like, okay, you are inside our ecosystem. Now do you want to use some of our simulation tools like Drive Sim, like this? We are going to pay for that extra, right? And then as the customer, they're most likely using the hardware behind there. They might not be familiar with it, but the cloud server providers, they're purchasing these NVIDIA systems, which are powered with NVIDIA hardware, and NVIDIA is also making money from that hardware. So in my opinion, NVIDIA is going really well and becoming very efficient with providing a full round solutions for cloud server providers, software, and clouding solutions. Before we go any further, I want to thank you for watching, and I need your help to reach my goal of 30,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you can do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and thumbs up. Also, if you want some fantastic insight into the semiconductor industry, join my other channel, Semiconductor Investing and More, where I use my electrical engineering background to break down the semiconductor market. Finally, I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for their subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode. Outside of that, they also did announce another clouding solution. This is one we've heard about, but I believe doesn't get too much attention. Nvidia launches DGX Cloud, giving every enterprises instant access to AI supercomputer from a browser. And for those that are not familiar, DGX Cloud is very similar to this kind of OVX system. It's pretty much a supercomputer. So originally, if you wanted to have some form of supercomputer available to you, what would you do? You would go to a cloud server provider and probably kind of rent out some space, or you would go to Nvidia and buy your own supercomputer. Well, instead, what's happening now is instead of buying these huge supercomputers, these cloud server providers, now they're renting out a full system for you. So it's not as expensive as having as building your own infrastructure, and the kind of startup time is a lot easier, but you do have a set system just for yourself. And again, this is not new news. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure was first to run NVIDIA AI supercomputing instances, I believe about 2 or 3 months ago. We heard about it, but they do mention that Microsoft's cloud server provider and Google Cloud and others are to host DGX Cloud very, very soon. So again, here they kind of break it down a little bit. NVIDIA today announced NVIDIA DGX Cloud. Again, I don't know why they say today announced. They've talked about this for some time. An AI supercomputing service that gives enterprises immediate access to the infrastructure and software needed to train advanced models for generative AI and other groundbreaking applications. The service makes it possible for every enterprise to access its own AI supercomputer using a simple web browser, removing the complexity of acquiring, deploying, and managing on-premise infrastructures. And enterprise can rent DGX Cloud clusters on a monthly basis. I'm pretty sure this is super expensive. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the earlier starters of this was Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, but Microsoft is expected to begin hosting DGX Cloud next quarters, and the service will soon expand to Google Cloud and more. They also explain certain companies that are using these technologies already. For example, Agmin, one of the world's leading biotech companies. There's also an insurance technology leader, CCC Intelligence Solutions, and there's a digital business platform provider, ServiceNow, that is already are the first pioneers using DGX Cloud. I mean, here they even give us the price breakdown. The availability starts at $37,000 per month. Organizations can contact their NVIDIA partner network for more details. And some people might be like, Jose, that's crazy. What enterprises are paying $37,000 per month on the low end, right? I'm pretty sure these are their small computers. That's roughly half a $500,000 per year. A lot of the big players are spending a lot of money. I remember back in my heyday in engineering, when we would work on projects, $250,000 sign off wasn't that big of an issue. So big money, big innovative companies are spending this type of money, no problem. Next, they kind of explain a little bit more of their partnerships with Microsoft. Like I mentioned earlier, I think Microsoft is becoming one of my favorite cloud server providers at the moment, and they're teaming up really well, playing nice with everybody else except the big tech giants. I think Microsoft right now is really facing off against Apple, is really facing off against Google. I think we're going to start to see face off against Amazon pretty closely, but in my opinion, it's becoming a monster. So they do mention that Microsoft's partnership is going really well, that they're hosting NVIDIA's DGX Cloud like we saw, and they're also hosting NVIDIA's Omniverse Cloud in the future. And this is all coming in where earlier, about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we saw that Microsoft had announced that, hey, they had plenty of H100 supercomputers available for them for training purposes for generative AI. Next, kind of pushing into more hardware solutions here in the clouding market, we did hear that Oracle Cloud Infrastructure chooses NVIDIA Bluefield Data Center acceleration platform. So for those that are not familiar, NVIDIA doesn't just make GPUs, and they're not only going to make CPUs either. They also create what is called a DPU. They are on their 3rd generation, and they are announcing that, hey, the latest Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OCI, has selected the DPU as the latest addition to its networking stack. Another thing I do want to say, I feel like I've been sleeping on Oracle, but they are partnering up with NVIDIA. And I like it when a company partners up with giants that are innovating, because in my mind, it tells me that, hey, this company is doing something to try to regain the map of investors, or trying to kind of continue, maybe not worry about investors, but continue to innovate in a great way. And that usually leads to great returns to investors. So I think Oracle is one I have to take a closer look, as they continue to be some of the first players to team up with NVIDIA, like we saw with their DGX Cloud. OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, was one of the first players. Now here with the DPU, NVIDIA's the DPU, Oracle again is one of the leads here. So for those not familiar with DPUs, like I mentioned, they are a data processing unit, and pretty much they help improve performance, efficiencies, and security in data centers by offloading, accelerating, and isolating infrastructure workloads, freeing those workloads from CPUs, and overall making the product, the servers, more efficient. I believe they even give a breakdown here that, yep, they show that the reduction in power of up to 24% on servers using NVIDIA Bluefield DPUs compared to servers without DPUs. And for those that are not familiar, electricity is a very big portion of data centers' cost. Including cooling and all that. So if you're reducing, if you're reducing the power consumption, you're reducing the heat, you're reducing the power you need to cool that down. So overall, it's a big win for data centers. So I wanted to kind of definitely mention that. Next, let's talk about Amazon. Right, I mentioned that Amazon, in my opinion, at least from these tech plays, I haven't seen too much around. Obviously, Amazon can just be playing the quiet game, and once it releases some cool products, I mean, I've done a video of them. They've teamed up with Hugging Face, which is a pretty generative AI solution. They also have AWS SageMaker, which helps with AI workloads. So it's not like they're not in this market. I just feel I don't hear too much from them. But we can see AWS and NVIDIA collaborate on next generation infrastructure for training large machine learning models and building generative AI applications. So I want to say this is more of like a win for NVIDIA. It just mentions that, hey, the next generation of Amazon's Elastic Compute Cloud, Amazon EC2 P5 instances, are powered by NVIDIA H100 Tensor GPUs. Like I mentioned, I do want to say one of the risks that I have for NVIDIA is over inventory correction that might happen, as all these cloud server providers are going to be buying loads and loads of GPUs. I'm worried that in a year from now, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be true, but it's a risk that I think investors should think of. A year from now, all these cloud server providers might be like, hey, we saw this AI hype, but software has increased a lot dramatically where we maybe don't need this much computational power. We probably purchased too many GPUs early on, so we're going to slow down on purchases at the moment. And that can overall hurt the growth on NVIDIA's data center market. So something to keep in mind, that over inventory correction doesn't always just happen in the consumer market. It also happens in the enterprise and data center. Now, the final one I want to talk about is NVIDIA Hopper's GPUs expand reach as demand for AI grows. And here it just kind of shows the overall demand of NVIDIA's GPUs, like I was just talking about. Like we mentioned, the huge cloud server providers, but there's a lot of other players using H100. And here we can just see some of the pioneers that have adopted H100. For example, OpenAI, they used H100's predecessor, NVIDIA A100, to train and run ChatGPT. OpenAI, because of its partnership with Microsoft, will be using H100 on Microsoft's cloud server provider Supercompute to power its continued AI research. We know Meta, a big player and a big partner, I want to say they are a big partner of Nvidia, developed its Hopper-based AI supercomputer Grand Teton Systems. We have Stability AI, a pioneer in text-to-image generative AI. It's an early access of H100 because Stability AI is partnered with AWS. So it kind of just shows the power of Amazon, even though there hasn't been much talk there. And they mention other players here using H100 in other cloud server provider solutions. So those are kind of all the clouding solutions that appeared or got re-announced this today or on their newsletter, and I hope it was very informative of some of the cloud server solutions that they provide right now and how AI can definitely accelerate it at the moment. So like I mentioned, let me know in the comments below, which one do you want me to do next? I really was thinking of maybe generative AI, but they definitely have other solutions like they mentioned some semiconductor solutions. They're great CPU. They mentioned a little bit more about it. And obviously, I'll take a closer listen to that Q&A session, which should be in the investors presentation website. So take care, have a good day, and see you next time.